which whom is really ever used. This leads me to my first point. Whom should be stricken from the English language because it is rarely used and with no consequence. For example, when inquiring about a book's dedication, it would be downright strange for one person to say, this book is dedicated to whom, which is grammatically correct. In reality, the curious bookworm would probably just say, this book is dedicated to who. This statement would be understood by all listeners, and everyone would move on with their lives. Chances are that no one would even notice that this was indeed a grammatical error, according to Kaplan's study publications. Not only is the practicality of using whom an issue, but also the logistics of using whom create a problem. Whom's lack of use leads to a serious lack of knowledge about its actual correct usage. It is this lack of knowledge that causes problems. And even though whom is rarely used, it is still a part of the language. So whom is still up for grabs on standardized tests. In fact, the Princeton Review's Cracking the ACT Study Guide devotes an entire page to the obscure English rule. This also means teachers still need to teach the whom rule, regardless of its lack of relevance to the average English speaker. To make this task difficult, most people have trouble comprehending the exact difference between who and whom, according to Malcolm Gibson, a professor of journalism at the University of Kansas. This frustration felt by students leads to mass confusion and chaos, which almost inevitably leads to inquiries about makeup tests in high school classrooms across the nation. This valuable class time could be better spent going over more recognizable errors, such as subject-verb agreement. Now, some may say, we can't just outlaw a word. Once it is a word for good. I, however, beg to differ. Words are constantly being added to the English language. New inductees to the hallowed pages of the Webster-Merriman English Dictionary are ginormous and agritourism. And no, I did not make those words up. Words are also constantly losing their starting spots in the tongues of the general public. Why is it so hard for lifelong English speakers to understand Shakespeare? Not because the average IQ and reading level of the general population has dropped dramatically, but because the words that comprise Shakespeare's rhetoric are no longer in use. For example, after a long and heated battle about property lines and ruined azalea bushes, it would be downright strange for one neighbor to say to the other, "Fie, you distempered paddock, adoint thee." And it would be even more unusual that the other neighbor would comprehend he was being called a diseased toad, who should probably be ashamed of himself and go away. Consequently, I feel that if Shakespeare's words can be cut, so can whom. Whom has been given a free ride for a very long time, despite the fact that it is rarely used, causes problems, and can just join the other words that are no longer part of the English language. It is time to send whom a reality check, and send the freeloader packing. It's about time the English-speaking population stood up and showed whom who's boss.